This is Brian Alexander for Time.com, and I'm on the set of Jeopardy with Alex Trebek, and we are doing readers' questions. How do you feel about Will Ferrell's impersonation of you on Saturday Night Live, and have you actually had celebrity guests similar to the ones on that skit, or can't you talk about that?
I love the Saturday Night Live sketches featuring Will Ferrell. In fact, I was extremely disappointed when he left Saturday Night Live. I made a guest appearance on his last appearance doing a Jeopardy sketch. And we've never had any contestants who were as ornery, as mean, and as troublesome as the Sean Connery character that Darrell Hammond portrays so beautifully on Saturday Night Live. I love it. I've been asked how I would feel if we had Sean Connery as a contestant on Celebrity Jeopardy. And because I'm such an easygoing guy, I tell everyone I just walk up to him and punch out his lights.
This is a question from Toph Alexander in Chicago, Illinois. Do you miss your mustache?
Not really. It's something I can regrow anytime I want. It's an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You don't need a great deal of talent to grow a mustache.
Very true.
It helps if you are male.
When did the mustache go, anyway?
About 6 or 7 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And yet people still talk about it. And it made the news, of course, when it went off.
And why were people so fascinated with your mustache?
I don't know. Maybe it was a slow news day. There wasn't any war going on. And a lot of the tabloids got a hold of that bit of information and were playing it up. And so people noticed. My family didn't notice. I went home and it took them 10 minutes before they noticed that my mustache was gone.
Something was different. If there were a presidential episode of Jeopardy, which U.S. presidents, living or dead, would you invite to the show, and who do you think would win?
That's a good question, but it's a difficult one because keep in mind that our first president served almost 2.5 centuries ago. And so the amount of information that George Washington had is a lot different than the amount of information that Barack Obama has. But all other things being equal, I would think perhaps Woodrow Wilson might have been a good contestant for Jeopardy. Jimmy Carter was known as one of the smartest presidents when he took office. And certainly Barack Obama would qualify as well. So I would pick those three as legitimate Jeopardy contestants.
Gotcha. Do you have any thoughts about who wouldn't make it out of the first round? Which president?
No, I don't want to venture a response on that. Some of them were more recent than others.
Okay. Will there ever be another Ken Jennings?
That's a tough one. Ken Jennings became our champion not too long after we got rid of the rule that said you had to leave the show after 5 wins, and he wound up winning 74 times. So I think Ken Jennings was really the perfect storm of contestant, game, material, and savvy in terms of playing Jeopardy. He had a good sense of humor. He was bright, certainly. He knew how to play the game, knew how to emphasize certain points at certain times, knew when to risk a lot on a double Jeopardy or a final Jeopardy clue. And I think Ken was one of a kind. And I'm not sure we're going to see that kind of success ever again on Jeopardy. He was with us for 4.5 months. My gosh, I was spending more time with Ken Jennings than I was with my wife.
What was the weirdest Jeopardy experience you ever had?
Oh gosh. Well, it depends how you define weird. For our ultimate tournament of champions, in the final match, which was a 2-game total point competition, I overheard our 3 contestants talking before the show and saying, you know what we should do to throw Alex off his game? We should take our trousers off. And they didn't do that, of course, and I thought that was kind of silly because they're behind their lecterns. Nobody would see them. So I took my trousers off and I walked out without pants. Okay. And that really blew them away because I'm not hidden behind my lectern when I come out. I'm out in the open. Somebody wrote in and said you have good legs, so there was a positive to it.
I think that certainly qualifies as weird. In my book, so yep. We can move on.
You see me without my pants, and you would not be the first person to say, my gosh, that's weird.
Any other thoughts of interesting hijinks? Have you ever made a big blunder on the show?
Oh, I make blunders all the time. I have what I call senior moments. I have a story that I tell also. When I began on Jeopardy, I was much younger, of course. I was in my 40s, and I never made mistakes. Then after a few years, I would catch myself just as I was about to misspeak and make a mistake. Then I caught myself just after I made a mistake. Now I'm at an age where I don't even know when I make a mistake. I have to be told by members of the production staff, Alex, we have to ask you to reread that clue. Why? Because you said 1743 instead of 1473. Oh, I did? Yeah. I don't even notice when I make mistakes anymore.
Is there another television show you would like to host?
If they were to bring back Hollywood Squares, I would love to be considered as the host of that one. First of all, you get to sit down as the host, and that's something I have had the opportunity to do only once in my television hosting career here in the United States. And at my age, it's nice to sit down. And the great thing about hosting Hollywood Squares is you ask a question of a celebrity, and the celebrity gives a funny response, and you laugh.
Simple enough.
And then you make a ruling. And I can't think of a much better job than that one, unless it's the one I happen to have right now.